These balls coming in right there from time. As I'm gonna guess it is a puppers, a wild puppers on the loose running around, or maybe a kitten jumping on the keyboard. I think it's something cute.
Yeah, I've actually seen a couple of pro gamers have such problems. It seems cats really like keyboards.
Yeah, I've never had a cat since I was a little kid, but anytime I've played games at a friend's house, like there is like, it can be in the opposite corner of the house. The moment you are engrossed in a game, like really engrossed in it, bam, that cat is on the keyboard just like that. It is like they have a sixth sense for when you really do not have any attention to give to them and when they can be most annoying, and that's when they're in between you and your monitor.
Unreal. Can't imagine, man. Cats don't like me. I'm like pretty good with animals normally, but cats, something about them and me, we just don't jive, and they always look at me with such suspicion. So I just try and avoid them, man. I don't want to be getting the claw, you know?
Well, might be getting the paw up here right now. This in the top left, of course, representing Kaizi. It's Tom. Double proxy on 14. Oh my lord, Zeph. This is a very committed Reaper rush. Now, let's see, does Times Barracks SCV go out and check for proxies? Oh, he's actually going to send an SCV out before that even. Now that is actually maybe... Oh, it should kind of see what's up just in time, so he's got a few seconds reaction to pull Reapers back, I believe. So that the important thing here for Time is he needs to pull his Reaper back, get some SCVs over to help it, and basically just not lose the first Reaper. It's all about buying time for your factory to kick in, get out another Reaper, get out a Hellion, get out some Marines, whatever it is, anything to just hold the line, because that first Reaper of Cofffee is actually faster than yours, and the moment there's two Reapers versus one, there's a very dangerous moment. So you're going to have to use SCVs to kind of body block, use their drills to fight, and try and hold those Reapers back. Let's see. If Cofffee gets the snipe on the first Reaper, it's going to be a good shot for him.
Yeah, it can really get out of control if you're not quite on the ball with this, and Time hasn't quite done a circuit down here yet, but he may just see that Reaper. Okay, now he knows what he's up against. He's gonna duck back into that main base and wait the onslaught of Reapers that's gonna be coming out from Cofffee. SCV's already at the ready here for Time, and he's gonna try and get on top of them. One gets fairly bruised up. There's a bunker coming in and a Marine to help out as well.
Yeah, Marines only build it in about half the time of a Reaper, so that's why you want to opt for the Marines here. Anything to get a bit more damage out, even out these odds. And, oh, he does get the Reaper there, so that's actually totally fine for Time. He kills two Reapers for just one of his own, and his Marine obviously looks like it's in trouble, but the SCVs, those line-backing SCVs doing their job. Big beefy boys come forward and push that Reapers back.
Now with the Hellion out, it'll be a little bit easier to keep on top of this and try and roast those Reapers. He does get one on the tail end of that flame there. And as the Marine splatters slowly disappear here, he's looking pretty good. He lost 3 of those Reapers, did Cofffee, but Time has held on well. Only lost 3 SCVs.
Yeah, the command center is going to go down always a little bit earlier for the proxy Reaper player, but their attack is much later. I think the starport's already almost finished for Time, and I'm not sure if it started. I mean, Cofffee should have a tech lab going down in the factory at home, I believe, but he's putting all of his resources into continued Reaper production right now. So it's a real kind of escalation of the unit count on both sides. The Hellions and the Marines for safety, the Reapers for Cofffee, and definitely a lot of kind of eyes on where this goes. So Cyclone is going to come out, Starport starts, and a safety bat sheet for Time. Meanwhile, the floating barracks is going to kind of float on through there and say, hey, 2 Marines are going to take a while to take me down, mate.
Yeah, not too much you can do about that. Cyclone can probably shoot it down a little bit faster, but not before he gets a full-on scout. So Time, no surprise factors here, really. These Reapers are actually going to roll back in, maybe. A little bit of a risk, but he's still just posturing around. Back at home, of course, Cofffee has his own expansion finishing up, and will be thinking about his own tech.
Cofffee does start up a Raven there. just adding add-ons, getting the orbital command center up. Absolutely playable position here for Cofffee. Just got to be clever about how he uses those Reapers. There's a bit more material out on the map at the time right now, so a lot of people kind of at this point, they get wasteful with those Reapers and then bam, the game's just over. Time moves across the map and kills you. Those Reapers are actually very important kind of buffer, just general fighting units to stop Time from being able to leverage that big army advantage he's got. So you got to be real careful here on the defense as Cofffee say, hey, I've actually got a couple of SCVs lead out of this. This is not too bad. I'm starting my 3rd command center at the same time, but I've got to give this economy time to work and just try to focus on the defense.
Yeah, for sure. Time does have a considerably larger amount of fighting force on the map, but he's also just establishing that natural at the moment and gonna come in with this Banshee to try and start some harassment. Now with the Raven and Cyclone, obviously this is gonna have limited effectiveness, but he is getting some revenge for the workers that he lost earlier.
And that's a cloakless Banshee, right? Just one, so 5 SCVs, not too bad. I think I'd definitely take that trade as Time, and looks like he didn't keep up his SCV production too well during it, because Time should be ahead on SCVs. I guess he had to float the command center down. That's it, actually. That's what I always forget in this scenario. I always look at it and I'm like, yeah, the guy that defended should be ahead now. And then you're like, oh, that command center lifting and floating down there is like 2, sometimes 3 SCVs worth that you just kind of miss out on in the production.
Cofffee gonna head across the map and see if he can maybe visit his friend here in a minute. Mostly just keeping tabs on what's coming out the front. He goes for the little bit of harassment at the back and maybe go for a part at the front at the same time. But oh, the tank shots are pretty brutal on that. Oh my goodness.
Way too ballsy there from Cofffee. That was a bit ahead of himself. There's only one tank. I can see it working, but with 2 tanks there, he needed to immediately pull out when those Reapers got shot. If you lose the Reapers, it's not that big a deal, but losing Cyclones costs a lot. And now Cofffee is getting super antsy on the map. Now, he's got a way smaller army right now. He's got to, especially after losing those units, pull back and think about a few minutes from now. That's where advantages can be taken. But right now, it's survival mode for Cofffee.
This is going to be rough. 2 Ravens, 3 tanks, and we have a slight lead on the Viking production for Time. However, by the time they get across the map, I think that gap will close. But Coffee's going to try and secure a 3rd base here. Not sure how well he's going to be able to hold on to that because Time is slithering around the bottom there. Cofffee doesn't actually have anything to spot on this side just yet. So as that Helling comes in, that's a bit of a telltale sign that he might be creeping about. And he does move up towards that 3rd base.
Oh, Coffee's in trouble. 3rd base needs to be abandoned. Good choice to just give that up and pull it back for it now. Keep in mind, Coffee's up 5 workers. Has really had very impressive macro throughout. And has 3 Ravens as well? 3 Ravens, that's a lot. I mean, he could just lock down every single tank.
He's actually going to go for the auto turrets here. Both sides dropping everything that they've got on the front lines here. It looks like Time is shredded through the cannon fodder of Coffee's army, and he's starting to get on top of these tanks a little bit. The Vikings have been taken out as well, but there's only 2 tanks left now for Time, and he is going to get cleaned up. Vikings are going to land here and try and squeeze a little bit more out of this. There are even more reinforcements coming in. Is there actually enough to keep going?
More Vikings, more tanks. They can all just land on top of that. Oh, just a couple of unit advantage. And that can spiral so hard in this early game TVT. Look at that, forces it to lift. And those Vikings, you got to repair that command center.
Yeah, he's on it. In there like swimwear, trying to keep that alive and trying to work with the small amount of units that he has left to flush Time out of here. Time still rallying over to this side of the map, even though he doesn't quite have any Marines here just yet to help him out. And he's happily securing his own 3rd base behind this.
I'm just going, I've never heard that. In there like swimwear. I like that.
I thought that was an Aussie saying, but I'm actually not sure where it came from.
It sounds like it. I mean, I could totally just imagine it, like one of my uncles or something just saying that, and I'd just be like, oh yeah, I guess that's a thing. But nonetheless, Cofffee does survive for now. Keeps the SCV count solid. Does look like he's in not too bad a spot, you know, still behind on the army value, but Coffee's economy has actually been roaring the whole time, so really impressive. Often Cofffee would crumble in those high pressure situations in seasons gone past, but is hitting, you know, a slight supply block, but it wasn't a super impactful one. Of course, he's been building 3 depots at a time for a little while to just keep on top of that, and Cofffee will be out of that supply block town in just a moment. It's one of those funny ones where you finish 3 depots, you're instantly supply blocked, and you finish another 2 and you're still instantly supply blocked, but it's not actually halting much unit production because it's just kind of the units are building at the same time as the depots. So not too bad there as the armory's going down, and looks like a very quick 4th command center for time, so he's going to be able to progress that worker count at a much quicker rate.
Cofffee moving out here with a small squad. And Time likewise trying to be a little bit active here and keep an eye on what's happening. Oh, a little bit of a risky pickup, but he does get on out of there without too much harm. And there is a missile turret going up on this left side as well as up towards that potential 4th base location, just to keep on top of any drops that might be coming in from Cofffee, because I still think Coffee's feeling a little bit antsy. He wants to get something done, but it's romanticide. You don't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because he's gone for this big pack of medevacs and marines, but he's now going back into Vikings. Can we check the unit tab just to see the Viking count? So yeah, it's still 8 Vikings in the skies for time. Definitely got more siege tanks as well, 6 versus 4. So Time's much better set up for like a real slow, drawn-out kind of positional game in terms of just like taking bases, sieging them up, you know, don't get caught out of position. Cofffee has a fair bit more mobility, but doesn't really have a big marine advantage. I think when 2-2 kicks in is when, you know, you're going to say, okay, well, the upgrade's way ahead for Cofffee because the armory was forgotten by Time. And, you know, 2-2 marines, they'll both be maxed about that time, and could be very effective. Double starboard on the way for Cofffee as well. That, to me, looks like a quick Raven transition. That's before even getting a 5th command center.
Okay. Let's see where he goes with this. Time well set up at that 4th base already. Cofffee following suit. And they both taken their foot off the gas pedal here a little bit, just while they proceed to that next phase of the game. But Cofffee may be moving through the center here. I mean, Time is going to try and pressure this 3rd base location again. It looks like Cofffee is caught on with the scans that are coming down. Raises all those depots.
Those tanks getting sieged up from the medevacs. Very nice, and a good position for Time. Yep, he wins the Viking fight, which is super important. Just forcing Cofffee to scramble down here, and he picks up and goes in towards the main. There's nothing there. Cofffee didn't anticipate this at all. Oh my lord, that is going to be a devastating move. Cofffee just doesn't have... Oh, he's also counter-dropping. He's loaded up all of his marines and is going across the map and gets punished so bad for trying to do that move. Time says, well, now you've got nothing to defend your base, mate.
Yeah, and he's caught on to what's happening on his side of the map as well. 1 medevac goes down without fully unloading, and there's just a lot of Terran here for Time left over. And he should be able to mop this up. Yes, he will lose some stuff, but the big difference is that Time is on top of the production. He's going to get the CC and everything, and there's just nothing here for Cofffee. GG. Time will take game number 1.
Very, very good game there for Time. And just kind of clean and precise as it goes. Almost overwhelming the 3rd base early on, but then as Time went past, God, really forgot to look up my synonyms before today's cast. It's already triggering me. Don't worry, guys. I'll look some up. Before the period went by, got some Marines down there and a nice push on the 3rd. I think a little sloppy of Cofffee, honestly, to get caught out of position that badly. But the moment there was even a small opening, it was bam, just like that, over.
That's often how it is when you go up against Time, unfortunately. But we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see if Cofffee can put a point on the board. Don't go away. Welcome back, folks. We have just finished our first map in this TVT, a best of 5 here in the China playoffs. Welcome if you're just joining us. It is Time versus Cofffee. Stylistically, two somewhat different Terrans, but Time looking good as always here in the first game pick.
Yeah, dominating as expected from the reigning champion. I mean, to be fair, Cofffee actually withstood a few of those tense moments where normally when you're the underdog, you fall apart, and Cofffee kind of just weathered them, didn't miss a beat with the SCV production, got on through there, but it was advantages building, and once he had momentum, it was of course a smooth finish for Time, pushing forward, and it's that kind of funny situation where you're like, he's got a position, I gotta lift my third, but you know what? I'm gonna pick up my Marines and just go across for a Doom drop. It'll be great. Time scans his army, sees him leaving, and is like, well, I'm already at your base, so I can just pick up my whole army and go in your main a lot faster while setting up the D at home. An unfortunate turn of events. Coffee's kind of last-ditch gamble turning south very quickly.
Yeah, I do like his ideas, you know, rolling in with the 2 racks right off the bat and trying to go for these risky moves, but it does sometimes bite him in the backside. But we'll see if he can get a win on the board here on Juggernaut. In the bottom left, he is the red Terran once again from Invictus Gaming. This is Cofffee.
And the champion of the region for many, many seasons running. He is, of course, Kaisi Gaming's Time. A little update, actually. Oh, okay. I'll give that update really quickly, Zeph. I promise. Coffee's getting mega cheesy. Our stats man, the lovely Runamuck, did confirm there that there was a slight error on the stat screen. It is actually an 86% historical win rate for Time against Cofffee. 29 wins and 7 losses throughout Legacy of the Void, I believe, in maps head-to-head. So it's still very dominating, and it is still late 2016 and early 2017 with the 2 best-of-3s that Time has won in competitive series. And this is the exact same build from the previous game, Zeph. I think he was hoping to catch Time, not scouting, and it's so close to his base. Cofffee is like full on, just like, I got to get in there, get that first Reaper, get out of there, and really mess him up. And I don't think it put him in a terrible situation in the last game. You know, he was up a few SCVs, obviously. Being behind in tech, though, and way behind in army, it was a bit of a rough transition. Let's see if he can find anything more. Immediate bunker on the high ground. This is exactly what Time did last game. So we'll see him drop that. He has 100 minerals. Oh, no, he wanted to queue the Marine first. There we go. Bunker starts up. He sees it.
Yep. Again, very similar. Scouts out where it is. Oh, he gets the first hit, I think. So he, barely finishes off that first Reaper. That's a good start for him.
Cofffee knew he was losing that fight as well, so really weird that he didn't turn around.
Yeah. We've got the Marine out here as well.
Oh, he's so all in. Oh, my lord.
This is rough for Cofffee. Time just doesn't miss a beat, man. He's so cool, calm, and collected in these situations.
Yeah, the thing, it's so funny because everyone loves double gas, and it really is nice to skip the scout when you're doing a double gas opening, but Time's just playing so safe here. He's not taking those risks. We'll back with the Keeper. Every time you try and target fire a unit, you see the way Time just pulls it back. Oh, but look at that, the Hellion comes out, and Cofffee has no chill with the way he's executing this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it justified. Good game there. We thought it was bad in the previous game. This was even worse. He didn't even get that Reaper kill there. It was a massive, massive loss. And the 2 all-ins in a row. You know, these are the sort of strategies. You look like a genius. You punch up. You know how to take a gamble. And it works. And you know what? You're getting lauded by your friends. They're going, dude, that was well played. The way you placed the barracks, it was great. And when it doesn't work, unfortunately, you do have to rapidly avoid Twitch chat as Cofffee, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there going, why did you just do that 2 games in a row? But it's a huge gamble. He knows he's such an underdog. You've got to take risks like this. Honestly, the moment the SCV went across the map to scout, this was already looking bad for Cofffee.
Yeah. Rough start, rough ending, really. That's probably the quickest TVT we've seen in a long time, unfortunately. And that puts time on match point as well. So,
yeah.
Bit of a palm sweaty moment for Cofffee if this 2 racks idea hasn't worked out. Hopefully that's not his plan for game 3 as well. I think that's going to be on Beckett too.
You know, with the first Reaper fighting, even though it was losing, I really thought what Cofffee was going to do was let it get into the deep orange and then run it away and see if he could kind of lure time, use it as bait and be like, oh no, don't kill my Reaper, you know, just to get time to overextend just a little bit.
Yeah.
So your second Reaper comes out, you get the kill, let your Reaper regenerate, and you've suddenly got great momentum. But standing and fighting the way he did was definitely a little bit too overeager for Cofffee, and yeah, I think a pretty easy win there for Time, who's feeling super confident, hasn't really had to show anything special thus far.
Yeah, perhaps a little misread, just getting a little bit nervous in the heat of the moment there. Unfortunate, because it's one thing to have to beat Time in a best 5. It's another thing to have to now win 3 games in a row against him. So he's hoping that the next map is, you know, something that he's very well prepared for, because I think this could be a very quick TVT, unfortunately. It won't be the only one, though, because we do have 3 Terrans. But even if he does drop down here, Cofffee fans don't despair. Of course, he will just be in the losers match after this. So not an ideal scenario by any means, but definitely not the end of his run just yet.
No, not at all. And I think it's time to bring out, come on, one of those special Cofffee builds, maybe a Marauder drop with some Hellions diving in, maybe a Reactor going down early and just pumping out Reaper Hellion for a big old dive. Cofffee has a lot of these special builds, so I want to see exactly what he's got.
And here we are. Beckett, my dudes, in the top right. Once again, this is our red Terran from Invictus Gaming. It is Cofffee.
On the bottom left-hand side, representing Kaizen Gaming. He is the champ for a region. He is dominant in China. This is Time.
Not sure what to expect out of a TVT on this map, Pig.
Fix bayonets and charge!
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm hoping to definitely see a bit of action. Obviously, things get across the map pretty quickly. Armies can bypass each other pretty quickly, especially with these speedy zones. There are some amazing tank ledges. Like, there's cliffs all over the place, and you can just kind of, you know, there's a few choke points that are pretty tight as well. So definitely the tank ledge here into the main base, just where those minerals are on the 3rd, hits that whole wall off. Time actually has the disadvantaged wall off, you could say, because his add-on will be sticking out like a sore thumb. Very easy to snipe that reactor in the wall off later on. But Coffee's will also be pretty exposed. The other thing is, because of that tank spot and general short distance on the map, this is one of the maps where we do sometimes see very heavy tank Viking pushes early on. Players kind of skipping out on the Ravens a little bit and just kind of going for the throat with the air superiority and that sort of thing, and say, I'm not going to give you time for stim and shields and 1-1 and those Marines to really be useful, because they need time. They need a while to get those upgrades kicking in, and they need space to work. The whole point of Marines and medevacs is mobility. Well, how much mobility do you have on such a cramped map? So definitely a more tank-heavy or even straight-up mech composition is a bit more viable here on Beckett.
Yeah, we'll soon see what happens. This could, as we've seen a couple of times already this season, end up being a weirdly normal game, but it's just, yeah, like you mentioned, that short rush distance can mess things up, especially if you get into a really good position near your opponent's base and they can start sieging a ramp. It's just so hard to crack. Same reason why we see like the void raid battery proxy stuff be so difficult to deal with if it's a PvT. But Yeah, as it stands, we've got a couple of Reapers out for time. He's heading into the Cyclone, and we're seeing that Starport coming down soon as well. Cofffee, wondering if you might do the Reaper Hellion perk. He's already got 3 Reapers out with 2 more coming in.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I was saying maybe just pump the Reaper Hellion off the reactor. I think the only problem with this as a strategy right now is what you've already shown in this series, which is YOLO! So, like, I imagine time's going to be even more defensive, and if you can't get rid of, like, the Cyclone pretty early, like, and kill that, it's going to get crazy value over the course of the fight. Same thing with the tank already on the way and coming out rather soon. This Reaper Hellion's going to go in. Time, though, very well positioned. His whole army is together. If he's split up on the edges, watching for drops, he can get caught out because his army can be divided and then conquered. As Cofffee, yeah, we did see a little slight lag spike there, so no doubt that was just see if that will settle on down. Good time for it to happen, honestly. They haven't seen each other, so they don't know what they're going into. It doesn't give you a moment to kind of plan, and the fighting hasn't started, so much better that happens right there rather than in the middle of the fight.
All right, Coffee's going to swing in here. That tank is just popping out as this happens. Cyclone going to snipe one Hellion right off the bat here. There's the tank coming in. Cyclone getting a little bit too fresh. That does get taken out.
Oh,
but the tank
shot!
Oh,
my lord, Zeph, what did we just witness? That was every Reaper got hit by maximum tank splash twice, 2 shots in a row. That was like, that has to be in the highlight reel, guys. Production, please show that in slow-mo. Oh my lord. I can't believe the Reapers, because they want to get on the tank and get into its minimal firing distance. Instead, they just mega clumped up. And then they backed out of it, which was even worse. So we got the second shot off. Oh, that was a disaster for Cofffee. And Time there, keeping all of his units together on the ramp. He's just locking things down, not giving Cofffee a chance.
Yeah, Time has read this so well. He knows that if he just plays this normal defensive style, because Coffee's going to just throw whatever he has at him and try to see what sticks, that he'll be absolutely fine. And so far, he has been. I mean, that was... he just decimated that small force. And again, we're in a position where Time just has a little bit more stuff out on the map. He's already heading into the Viking production here as well. Getting more tanks. And Cofffee, on the other hand, is trying to grab himself a 3rd CC.
Stim starting up a little bit earlier there for a time. The Viking production already on the way, while Cofffee is a Raven hog. Just loves getting that triple Raven out in a time, an era of StarCraft. You know, see the synonyms there. I was looking those up, Zeph. Are you proud?
I'm very proud.
Yeah, thank you. It is a time though. God, era, come on, man. Yeah, 2 Ravens is the norm. 1 Raven sometimes even, and that means the Vikings, if they can initiate this fight and Coffee's not ready to just go and spam out auto turrets, this could be really nasty. That being said, if he gets a good tank shot off, oh, he doesn't have vision. It's in range.
Oh, he's tickling that one tank. He will actually get it. There's a siege up for Time, and he's losing the tanks right off the bat. So this actually has worked out for Cofffee here, and finally he gets himself a little bit of a win on home territory.
That was a bit sloppy from Time, to be honest. Not really scouting ahead with the Vikings. That's always a dangerous area because that is the scariest area to let your opponent push to. That's why Cofffee perfectly positioned. And the way he got the initiate with the auto turrets keeps all 3 Ravens alive. That is massive. That is absolutely massive. Like at this point, kill that many units, you've got your 3rd down on location. I would actually say that Cofffee with the Raven energy regrowing is definitely in the lead.
Finally, things starting to look up, and hopefully he can hold on to that lead and make something happen with it. He's actually going to try and move out here with what he's got. That Raven count looking pretty hefty there. And 1 Marine from Time will spot it before it gets in here. He's looking to get some snipes on the Ravens. Marines come forward to try and deal with that, and he does have to pull back. Maybe he's going to go around the other side and see if he can find a better position there.
Good idea to just kind of veer around and see where you can find the angle, but no need to force it. I really feel like those Ravens get better the longer they've got to work. He's going to try and go for it, though. He wants to push his advantage. The Vikings will take out some of those Ravens, but the tanks, only 1 are left, and it is on the high ground, and it's not in range right now. Oh, this is such a good move. Those SCVs isolated on the low ground.
Marine's not going to be capitalizing on that. I think maybe he's worried about a tank shot, but it actually wasn't set up just yet.
They're getting out! No!
Oh, he's using all the air units as well. It's going to be just tanks here shortly.
Oh, that could have been game winning. That was like 12 SCVs down there, Zeph. I mean, I think it's still huge for Cofffee to force the lift while taking the 4th base. This is still a good position, but now he's got to get out of there without losing all these units, and he's already lost a bunch of Marines and so on. Liberator very quick to unsiege, and Cofffee gonna have to get out of there. Time does have stim, but he doesn't have a crazy Marine count, so obviously he's being very cautious. Cofffee trying to extricate himself from this situation, but that Liberator is making it awfully difficult.
Yeah, Time is just kind of chasing him very slowly and pushing him out of there because he just doesn't have anything that can deal with that Liberator. There's far too many Vikings for Time, and he sees an opportunity here to head across the map and try and put some pressure back on his opponent as he reestablishes that 3rd base and hopefully slow Cofffee down a little bit because he is getting quite close to finishing that 4th. Does move ahead with the Vikings this time, gets the siege first. The siege on the high ground for Cofffee. I don't know if that's going to work out. They're so low, those tanks.
Oh, but he gets some good tank shots, does Cofffee, but then he loses vision. Oh, and the Marine count is just too big. Combat shields being finished is massive. 1-1 upgrades seem really important, but when you're eating tank shots, it's the combat shields that makes the huge difference there.
Time just going to siege a little bit closer again, and now he's going to start shredding up this stuff that he has at the 3rd base. Since turret goes down, he's looking at those SCVs. Moves the tank up a little bit further. He doesn't have a huge amount here, but it's just still too much for Cofffee. I mean, Time. What a ridiculous performance that